Here's the thing, making 25k a month at 20 completely changed my life, because if you look back to where I was, what I did and what I was doing more so just working multiple jobs, trying to get by, trying to afford rent, trying to get insurance. Like, I had some days where I couldn't even afford rent. I had some days where I literally had to figure it out. But yeah, that was the joys of the brokey days, essentially. Some of like the most important things that I've actually learned and the skills that I've actually developed are obviously through marketing, because that's how I make all my money, and that's how I'm making 25k a month at 20. It's just kind of just crazy. Like, if you think about it, like back about a year and a half ago now, I was with my ex-girlfriend. I hated my life. I was like, okay, cool. I know I'm not going to get nowhere. I'm in this relationship that I absolutely hate. I'm trying to figure out a way how to get things sorted, because that's when I was doing affiliate marketing through Instagram, through TikTok, and also same thing with like ghostwriting, and still doing like sales like off and on. Because the joys of basically, yeah, I was pretty stuck in that sort of mode. Like, I was literally working two jobs, getting like maybe in about $1,000 a week, essentially moving about, how many hours was I working? Working about 60 hours a week, thousand bucks in a week. Didn't know what the hell to do. Couldn't figure out what I was going to do to, get out of that situation. But I literally remember in my car, I told my ex-girlfriend that, hey, I need to start a marketing agency. This is my only way out, because I'm going to have to charge high ticket. I've always been good at influence, and this is my only way out, because I know I wasn't going to get out by sales, because I didn't want to work for someone else. And essentially, you're a sales rep. You're someone else's, like, you're someone else's gopher. So it's sort of like, what's the point of that? Because then I'll still be working a job. And wouldn't it make more sense for me to run a business? Because I take the wins, I take the losses, I have control of my money. I know where it goes in, where it goes out. And let's just say if there was an issue to do with the sales end, I wouldn't even have to worry about it, because my money is not tied to someone else's money, like someone else's net worth. So let's just say if someone financed cars and I'm like, okay, cool, I know I can't get by this week because I haven't been paid my wage, because that's the most riskiest thing you can do, is get a wage, get a job, and expect that company not to go under. I've seen it happen so many times. But basically worked for someone else, and that's where I was like, okay, cool, let me start my own marketing agency. Well, I didn't start it till obviously the start of this year. It's currently now the 31st of December, 2025, as of the time of me recording this. And this is honestly what I've done in the last 12 months to change my life. And it's like, if I was 20 at the time, now I'm 21. But if a 20-year-old can end up pulling this off, what does that tell me that you can do too? Because I know a lot of you guys watching are probably between the ages of 20 to 40 and thinking, I hate my job. I honestly hate the position that I'm in. I might not even necessarily love my wife. I, just hate the position that I'm in, and I have to change it. But also, like, I've noticed a lot of you guys say that, but you don't necessarily mean it. Like, if you actually want to do something to change your life, do in the position that I literally just come back in the position that I was. I had no money, couldn't afford rent, I could barely afford food, so I got the other guy to do it, and I was just like, hey, I'm never going to be home, so I don't have to pay for food. And yeah, as I said, figure it out my own way. And as I said, like, the best thing I had was a massive reset. I broke up with my girlfriend, I started going to the gym consistently. I know, and all this other stuff you're so used to hearing, but it actually works, and that's where I got my marketing agency to 25 grand a month. But let me quickly just run forward what happened at the start of that year. So start of that year, I was still seeing my ex-girlfriend off and on, and then I was just like, yeah, I'm done. She was sort of like, best way to describe it, like, she was suffocating me more and more and more, and I couldn't get any breath of air. And I was just like, what the fuck, like, what's going on? How can I move forward? And I just thought, okay, cool, you're pissing me off. I need to get rid of you. You're basically like a massive anvil that I'm just holding, that I'm just trying to move forward, trying to get to do something, trying to get to move forward at least a little bit. That was the thing that I was trying to do. So basically, literally as soon as I think I started in start of December. so I broke up with her start of December. I started going to the gym every single day for a month. I got back into Muay Thai. I got back into boxing. I got back into all of that because I had my fight around about August, September, which I won, which I'm currently 2-0. But yeah, I was basically preparing for it like I was going to have another fight. Then from there, I obviously was like, okay, cool. What's the one way I can get out? Is sales. And I'm like, okay, sales is great, but it's more like the necessary framework, because around about March of 2025, I was working a sales job while working 2 other jobs. So I was basically working for a consultant as well as doing low ticket sales at a car wash, which obviously was important because it taught me the framework to sales. And I was still doing all these little hustles here and there. Like I tried digital drop shipping. I wasn't as keen on affiliate marketing at the time, but it was still, helping me move forward. I was still doing a podcast and all this sort of stuff. I've done so many different businesses. Oh yeah, and I was also doing e-commerce during that time. And I was just trying to move everything forward more and more and more to try and basically be like, okay, cool. Now I'm in a position. Actually, it's kind of sick. Those houses are up for sale. Those houses are going to be a gamble because, it's like in the West and taxes and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, I was still the same guy who was just marketing, essentially doing lead generation for every single business that I essentially worked for. And I was just trying to figure out a way how I can end up moving forward, end up getting to the next step. And just, as I said, like having that continual push forward more and more and more, so then I can get to where I need to. Because what I was sort of thinking is, okay, cool. So I'm doing affiliate marketing. I'm doing ghostwriting, which is essentially copywriting anyway, just on X. Obviously, affiliate marketing's pretty straightforward. I'm marketing for other companies, which I get a percentage, like a 30% commission on the cut. Pretty standard stuff. Doing marketing for the podcast, doing marketing for a few other people. And as I said, during like January 2025, I got my first client, and I'm like, okay, cool. Marketing is the best way how to do it. Marketing can help you move forward, because I ended up getting him about 30 to 40 odd leads within my first month of working with him. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I just charged this guy $2K. He's got a possibility of getting about 3 or 4 clients that will charge him up. Well, he'll charge up front like 6 or 7K. So then he can then just basically put in the, units and that sort of shit. And I'm like, okay, this might be onto something, because I'm like, that's the first guy I've ever charged. Like, I also don't end up charging him like 2.5K for literally website and email and ads. And I'm like, cool. Which I spent 300 of it on ads anyway. But I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I can do to move forward. This is how I can attack this. This is how I can then, move to the next step quicker, and not just be like, just trying to be like, like flailing around trying to make money, which I know a lot of you guys are in. And also for any of you guys who want like one-on-one coaching with me, you'll see that link down below. Click that, and then from there you can choose the time that suits you. Once you book in a call, I will give you a one-on-one game plan to help you move forward, whether we work out, whether we don't, whatever. It's entirely up to you. We'll just see how it plays out, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's that free game plan that you guys have available. But yeah, and then I was just like, okay, cool. And then around about May, I'm just going to move forward, because I was in like, when was it? I was just obviously working out more, basically doing more stuff, trying to get sales. Like I had my first sales job in, March. Yeah, March. I got fired from that in like a couple of weeks because my sales manager was a complete and utter like idiot. He had no idea what the hell he was doing. We went through so many different salespeople within that e-commerce company. It was crazy. You think the churn rate of some of your companies is like incredible. This was something that I've never seen before. So I live in Australia. I was calling up numbers in the US, UK, trying to get them to buy, I'm just gonna wait for this car, trying to get them to buy an e-commerce it was an e-commerce agency. So they try and get you to, okay, so the guy who runs it was an e-commerce owner who was successful with, I don't know how true it is, but Yeah, so the guy was fairly successful with it. Then he decided to do e-commerce for other people. They paid about 5,000 USD plus $2,000 for ads. And then he tried to generate them a passive income by working on their ads, working on their marketing, and by him completely getting control of the, which I've done that as well. I've had e-commerce agencies work for me. I've worked with them, that sort of stuff. I understand how all that stuff works. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just started literally just cold calling up random people within the States who was on our cold calling list, who was like, because I ran it through one of my other mates who is a closer on one of like a really good offer. Probably heard of him, Anton Marshall, and he's just like, yeah, you've just basically called up a whole bunch of cold called. You just cold called a whole bunch of leads, and yeah, like you guys got told that they were all warm, and that was just another lie. So he was just like, okay, cool. This was just like an absolute waste of like a couple of weeks of my life, and and he's like, why don't you move over to Orlando? I'm like, nah, I don't really want to. Then I got this other coach who I've been working with for probably about 6-7 months now, and everything's been going smoothly since then. And yeah, it's basically since I got my sales locked in, since I got my marketing locked in, and since I'm like, okay, cool, I know you, I'm going to now basically call you up, do your marketing, or basically be like, okay, cool, let's have a coffee, let's have a bit of a chat, then we can just move forward. And that's all I did for my other 4 or 5 leads. Obviously content, like obviously nurture them a lot, because once they search my name, they're like, okay, cool, Daniel Rose, this is what he does, this is how he does it, this is how much he's making from it. So obviously there's more quality there than not, because like the marketing agents, there's not... Australia's Australia. It's very... I don't know, the best way for me to describe Australia is basically if you try and live here, you'll understand it. Otherwise, if I try and describe to you guys outside of Australia, you guys will not be able to understand it. But yeah, Australia is a wild country in regards to business. It is so... It's not competitive. It's competitive, but it's also like so tight. Like, because you have to do... Like, your business has to be like 100% before you're able to move forward, if you get what I mean. Like, everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, you're not going to survive in Australia, because it's got to be perfect from the finance to the sales to everything else. I don't know, especially you guys who live in the UK, US, UAE, like especially places like Dubai. You guys have a bit more, I'd say you guys have a lot more freedom as well. And that's what makes the whole process easier. Like, if I was honestly you guys, I'd rather compete in a market like America, UAE, the UK, just because it's a much, much easier market to deal with. And obviously, as I said, like, I can help you with doing that stuff, because it is, Australia's a difficult market. So, yeah. And I've just basically kept on doing that, got my first few clients, got my, you know what I mean? Because my first one was HVAC. Got a few concreters, got a few consultants and all that sort of stuff. Kept on marketing for them, did some stuff for myself, and then just kept on moving things forward more and more and more. And the reason why this was so useful is because once you start a business, once you get that skill, you can then just basically hone in, lock it in, like basically make sure everything is as good as possible. Do your market research, understand your client, understand their needs, understand their wants, and understand basically where they currently are at now, where they want to go, how they want to get there, and how can you be the middleman, either trying to help them basically find a problem that they never knew they had. So let's just say for me, for example, I'm going to help you make an extra £5,000 to £10,000 a month, which is real. Like, yeah, I'll help you guys do that. Basically, you guys know that you guys already are problem aware and you guys want to move forward. So I can help you with doing that. Another one is basically giving you, like, let's just say I got a 5-step process. I give you guys the first step for free, and then you guys get the other 4. Basically, you have to pay for the other 4. Or like the other ones is like, you know, we do like an exchange, like you trade something and it's swap for that, or, you know, basically just making sure the problem's aware. Like the great Steve Jobs said, like, if there's no problem in your market, make a problem in your market. As I said, it obviously depends on the business, but when it comes to trades, consultants, and a few other businesses, there's always going to be problems, because there's always going to want to be people who are hungry, who want to move forward, who want to take action today. And I know you guys are one of them, because you guys watching this video, you've watched so far into this video. So yeah, that shows me at least that you're serious and you've watched the whole thing. Basically, a 20-year-old went from complete broke, had debts, had loans. Yeah, as I said, it's been a crazy 12 months from where I've been, from probably earning about maybe 4K a month, 4 or 5K a month, all the way up to 25K a month. And yeah, as I said, like, one of the best things I had was working for a consultant, because I understood the frameworks, understand the sales cycle, understand the marketing, and understood all that stuff when it comes to business, because then you're able to move forward. And whereas a lot of other people do not have that framework, or do not have that on the back end to actually help them move forward. And that's where I think, okay, cool. I run a marketing agency. I've also worked for a consultant who's actually pulling in good numbers, and who works with a lot of like heavy hitter businesses, especially from where I'm at in Australia. So it makes more sense for me to basically help you guys move forward, and just, continue to help you guys with growing your marketing agency. And, basically, because I'm currently in the process of scaling mine up to £100,000 a month. So as I said, it makes more sense for me to help you to move forward more and more and more. Whereas, like, why would I just be creating these videos if I don't want to help you guys? But yeah, as I said, like, basically just, you'll see the link below, click that, and then I can help you start to make that extra £5,000 to £10,000 a month that you guys always needed and always wanted. So yeah. And also, here's the thing. If you guys want to see the actual secrets and the actual mindset that I actually have to call myself a billionaire as young as possible, as 21, I would watch, I would watch this video here. What being a billionaire actually feels like. It's the untold truth from a literal 21-year-old. So I'll explain to you a bit more on that. But if I was you, I would watch that video over here, and it will show you what it actually feels like to be a billionaire. Because what other 20-year-old can just basically walk around in the middle of Australia and just call themselves a billionaire and just, just not really care, because you already know I am one. So just watch this video over here, and I'll explain it in a lot more detail. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.